Murder She Watched contains adult themes and adult language. Listener discretion is advised. Murder She Watched is for entertainment purposes only. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Murder She Watched, the podcast where we're just a bunch of ladies of a certain age sitting around solving murders from our couch. My name is Amy Archer. I'm your host. I'm here today with Shabnam, lawyer of the pod. Not really, but real
honorary lawyer of the pod.
Yes,
Yeah.
real lawyer,
Yeah.
but not of the podcast, as much as I've tried to get you on retainer. How are you today?
I'm good. I am excited to talk about this one. It's got a lot of, pertinent issues to today, and it was it was really well done. I liked how it's done.
I thought it was well done. I just felt like, and if you know me, you're gonna know what the next words I'm gonna say are. Could have used a good editor. Like, had really good stories, and I think they were trying to weave them in a creative way.
Yeah.
But there were parts I was like, wait, now what timeline are we in? Like, there was a little bit of confusion for me. Personally.
Do you feel like it got worse throughout the episodes? Because I feel like the first episode wasn't as bad with that.
I think the first episode was really tight. I think, and I'm not going to say this should have been less than 3 episodes, because with this issue and this crisis, it should have been 10 episodes. So I'm not saying that it was too long. I'm saying it was confusing in parts where I felt like they needed, I talk about this all the time in writing, like you need a signal post, like you need to leave your reader or your viewer breadcrumbs. And we didn't get that in some spots. And I was like, wait a minute, what guy is this? Where are we? What timeline is this? When did this? I was a little confused with the timelines, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
This was produced. Oh, we are talking about Lost Women of Alaska. I should say that. I watched it on HBO. Is that where you watched it?
Yes.
Yeah. It's an ID production. And it just came out like last week.
Yeah. The 25th, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. It's produced by Octavia Spencer, who, I mean, this woman could narrate anything and I would listen.
Yeah, I know. I love her.
Her voice is so amazing. And so she narrates it, but she also produced it. And she also did you watch Lost Women of Highway 20?
I did not, but I listened to, I think you and Becca covered it.
Becca and I covered it. It was so good.
Okay. Yeah.
And it reminded me of like Lost Women of Highway 20. Highway 20 is like up in the Pacific Northwest somewhere.
Yeah, I think it's like Oregon / Northern California.
Yeah, but it's like on the eastern side of the state, so it's kind of desolate. And this kind of had the same feel in that the remote location.
Exactly. I was wondering if this is going to be a series, because that excites me. I can't wait to see like where she goes next. But also it seems like she's picking these places where like some one of the I think maybe it was Amber later in the documentary, she makes a comment that there's a lot of places to get rid of a body in a place like Alaska. And I feel the same thing for like Northern California, Oregon. So I wonder if this is what Octavia Spencer is going to do. And I'm like super excited, not, it's very sad, but I'm excited to see her like bringing these stories to light in these different places.
I am too. Absolutely. And as you saw, because I shared my notes with you, I could go down a rabbit hole about this whole crisis and why Indigenous women and Native women, they're called Native women in the documentary, Native Women of Alaska, but sometimes they're referred to as Indigenous, this population, of why exactly they are so vulnerable for this is so fascinating to me, because there's so many social issues that are intersecting here with just the location.
Yeah.
And that's so interesting to me. Like I could really kind of go down that rabbit hole if left unchecked. But I can't, because I'm busy with 85 other rabbit holes over here.
Yeah.
All right. So let's start. This is Lost Women of Alaska, like I said, and you can find it on HBO. Someone has asked that I give my Durst ratings up front.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to give this 4 out of 5 just because it didn't quite hit the 5 Durst mark for me. And if you guys are wondering, I measure everything by the Bob Durst scale because The Jinx fundamentally changed my life. I mean, it was a documentary where we got the guy to admit to the crime on camera, so it
Yeah.
really set the bar.
It's like you were part of the part of the investigation,
Yes,
right? So
yes,
yeah.
we went along for the ride.
Yeah.
So this would have 4 out of 5. I think it could have been a little neater is my only
I
critique,
agree.
but
Yeah.
I loved that Amber Waters, and we meet her
Mhm.
and she's in Anchorage, Alaska. I love her. I love the work that she does. I loved her
Yeah.
as the narrator. Like, what I didn't wanna see with this Shabnam was a bunch of
Mhm.
white men sitting around telling us what was happening.
Okay, yeah, I totally picked up on that as well. I also like that Alicia Youngblood, they gave her such a, you know, big piece of the documentary and
Mhm.
told it from her perspective. Because, like you're saying, like, a lot of times we'll get law enforcement or journalists telling us about these other people, and
Mhm.
this very much felt like they were humanizing the community, they were humanizing the victims,
Yeah.
and making those people from their community kind of, tell us the story.
Yeah, I agree. I thought that was a great choice. So, we
Mhm.
also get a little footage of Senator Lisa Murkowski. And she says the missing number of people in this area is disproportionate. So before we even get into the doc, though, there is this, kind of opening statement that Alaska has the highest rate of missing persons in the United States with 163 missing people per 100,000 in the population. That's a lot.
That's a lot, yeah. It's crazy to think about.
The issue disproportionately affects Alaska Native women and girls who are overrepresented in violent crime and missing persons statistics. So I thought that was an interesting opening statement.
Mhm. Yeah.
All right. So September 2019, Cassandra goes missing and she is a friend of Amber's. So Amber's kind of like, I have lost 3 friends. Like
Yeah,
off the
so
top of my
sad.
head, I could rattle off 3 of my friends who've just disappeared. One of them is Cassandra, one of them is Kathleen, and one of them is Veronica. And Cassandra was a mother who was experiencing homelessness. And most of these women were. They had come to Anchorage from the outskirts of the city, from their own communities for some reason or another, which we get into a little bit later.
Mhm.
And they are basically living unhomed. Like they are living on the streets and trying to make enough money to feed themselves and stay alive, essentially.
Right.
So Heather is an advocate for Alaskan Native women. She says there was talk at the time of a serial killer targeting these women. That's terrifying because we
Yeah.
learn from 2007 to 2018 there are 3 known serial killers
That's so much for such a small, like,
just
small
plaguing the
populated.
city.
Yeah, yeah, it's crazy. It's just crazy. I don't know. I feel like they should get some more resources to investigate these further. I don't know if it's just the land mass that makes it that way, or the fact that maybe they don't have as many resources as they need, and people know that.
Well, and I think too, somebody says it later, like a lot of it is blatant racism. Like
Yeah.
people see, oh, this is a native woman. Nobody will look for her. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And I'll get into it later, but there's also jurisdiction issues,
Mm,
which is
mhm,
interesting.
mhm. Yeah.
So Rhonda McBride is in the doc. She's a journalist and she says, there's a real underbelly to Anchorage. Like it can be a very dangerous place. And Robert Hansen was one of the first serial killers who preyed upon women who, Rhonda says, lived on the edges of society, and women who, if they die, people might disappear or die, people might not ask many questions.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think that is a global issue, I feel
Yeah.
like. I mean,
Yeah, I think so
vulnerable
too.
women, we call it risk behavior for a reason.
Right.
Vulnerable women, if you're in a position where you're vulnerable, you have a much more likely chance of disappearing and
Yeah.
nobody noticing, which is very sad.
Mhm.
So now the story shifts to Valerie Marie Kassler. She's been homeless there for a long time. she moved from Tacoma back in 1990 with a boyfriend, and she said they were together for 20 years and he died, and she just had a string of bad luck and bad relationships, and then she found herself homeless in 2019, living in the woods by herself. And she knew Cassandra and then one day just suddenly stopped seeing her. That's another thing I really appreciate about this documentary is they didn't demonize these women in any way.
Right.
Like they
Yeah.
really went out of their way to say homelessness can happen to anybody. It
Yeah.
it you can lose somebody, you can have trauma, you can have addiction from a surgery, an issue, like anything.
Yeah.
It can happen to
Yeah.
anybody.
Yeah, I really like that they gave the backstories of, like, how people ended up in this situation. I think that's just so important to, like, humanizing them and
Mhm.
making, giving people empathy.
I agree. So, she was doing sex work one night, Valerie. And on September 19th, a day after Cassandra went missing, somebody picked Valerie up in a black truck. And he asked her, like, have you seen Sonia? This is another woman, right? And
Mhm.
Valerie's like, no, I haven't seen her. And he's like, will you ride around with me and look for her? And Valerie gets in the truck. And at first I was like, why are you getting in the truck? But then I
Yeah.
realized, like, if you don't have a home, you're cold, you're hungry, you need
Yeah.
things. And this person
Yeah.
might offer those things to you.
Mhm.
It's
And I
unfortunate.
think I was thinking about it in these moments. I was like, I guess if you're a woman on the street, you're hoping that like most this man wants is sex, and then
Mhm.
you can maybe negotiate that, and
Mhm.
then and you're fine with it, right? Like you're not thinking like everyone's a murderer, you know?
Right. Right. And especially like Valerie's been doing this a while. She's
Mhm.
kind of street smart, tough. She probably
Yeah.
feels like I know how to read the guys who are dangerous. Like the
Yeah.
fact that she got out of this situation
Mhm.
was crazy. So she ends up stealing this guy's phone and she goes back to her tent. And there on his camera roll, she finds the most disturbing video she says she has ever seen. It's him murdering and mutilating and torturing a woman.
Yeah. It's so
And
sad.
she was terrified. And I thought this was kind of funny. Like, this woman knows what to do with SIM cards, Shabnam. Like,
Yeah.
I would have no idea how to do. She's copying SIM cards. She's like cloaking them. I'm like, girl, you could have a career in like tech.
Yeah, yeah, I know. I was like, wow.
So
She al she also said she disposed of the battery so he couldn't locate her 'cause I was
yes,
like, I was thinking there must be something with the battery, but I didn't like, that's more savvy than I am, so
she is way more savvy than I am.
yeah.
So she's terrified and she doesn't really have anyone to ask about this. So she asks her doctor. And her
Mhm.
doctor's like, "Girl, you need to turn this over to the police." Like this
Yeah.
she still can't talk about this video. This video is really disturbing.
Yeah, it seems like everyone that watches it, that they interview is just so horrified by it, and, like, she seems to have even lingering, like, trauma from seeing the
Mhm.
video.
Mhm. Yeah. So we meet Terry. She's Cassandra Biskovsky's aunt. Biskovsky. That's a tough name.
Yeah.
She says Cassandra got her high school diploma in 2012 and she was very proud, very excited for her future. Terry was like an aunt to, or like a mother to Cassandra, even though she was her aunt, because Cassandra's mother died on a four wheeler. And like shortly after, her dad had a massive stroke. So Terry took her in and raised her. So essentially, this is her kid she's looking for.
Yeah.
And when Cassandra was 18, she moved to Anchorage. She started having her children, but then her boyfriend was murdered.
That's so
And
sad.
Terry says it all went downhill after that. And she was so shattered. She started drinking heavily, and alcoholism ran in her family. So, like, she was prone to it.
Yeah.
Cassandra ended up making the heartbreaking decision to place her kids for adoption just to ensure that they had a better life. But it was like an open adoption. So she kind of
Mhm.
stayed connected. So
Yeah.
even the adopted mom was kind of like, I haven't heard from her either. And this is weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Valerie takes her little SD card, heads
Mhm.
over to see Detective Lee. He says this was the most horrific thing he'd ever seen on video.
Yeah.
And he says They couldn't even identify the woman because her face was so swollen
Yeah.
that even if you knew who it was, you wouldn't be able to identify her. But he
Yeah.
did see like an identifying mole on her eye, and he was
Mhm.
able to get some kind of picture of her, send it out to police departments, including a nearby correctional facility, and they identified this woman as Kathleen Joe Henry.
Yeah.
They describe her as a native woman, and remember, this was one of Amber's friends from the
Right.
beginning, so this is one of
Right.
them. This is it's dark.
Yeah.
So, Rhonda has covered Native issues since 1988. She says Kathleen was from a tiny village, and she doesn't know why Kathleen came to Anchorage and was uprooted from her village. And she wondered, like Kathleen had just gotten her GED and she was like proud of that. So she wondered what she was doing. And
Mhm.
we don't know that yet. This is where we meet Detective David Cordy.
Yeah. I think so.
Yep. He comes in as a cold case detective and he's not involved in the case, but like this is wild luck. He happened to be walking by the police not interrogation room, conference room where they
Yeah.
were playing this tape for all the detectives to hear, and he recognized the guy's voice.
Yeah. This is so crazy. Yeah.
So he tells us that back in 2018, a woman named Alicia Youngblood had reported to him that her boyfriend shared videos of him murdering someone on his phone. Shabnam, why would he do this?
I feel like he was trying to recruit someone. Like, I think he was trying to like recruit someone into his deeds, whatever he's
Oh, you
doing.
think he was trying to recruit her into it to see if she was into it?
Yeah, because we learn later that he was also talking to someone else, right? So I really think he was trying to either recruit her in or that person in, and maybe it was like kind of an
Mhm.
escalation of his serial killing, like getting someone else to partake.
Yeah. And Alicia she was a single mom. She had moved to Anchorage, kind of down on her luck, moved in with her brother for a little bit, ends up getting an apartment and stuff like that. She meets this boyfriend. His name is Brian. And
Mhm.
her sister and her brother are like he seemed fine. Like he had a good
Mhm.
job. He seemed to treat her well, but her daughter, if you notice her daughter's like,
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah,
into this guy. It's always the daughter who's going to trip you up. I'm
yeah.
just going to say it. As a daughter, it's always I always
Yeah.
say to Timmy, like, if you think our girls are ever gonna let you move on after you've murdered me, you are mistaken. So one day, Alicia called her sister and is like, Brian showed me this video, and I don't know what to do because he's never hurt me and I love him, but I can't unsee this.
Yeah.
The guy's name is Brian Steven Smith, and he was funny, affable guy, liked making videos though. Always had a little video camera on you. That's where he gets tripped up. That's where you're going to get in
Yeah.
trouble. Mhm.
Well, it's also, like, voyeuristic and, I watch a lot of, uh, Criminal Minds. I,
Mhm.
like, watched the whole thing end to end, like, when I had, like, a break between school and work,
Mhm.
and they really go through some people like with the like, trophies, right?
Yeah.
Trophies and, like, it's just voyeuristic that he was, like, records things, and then it almost seems like maybe there's somewhat trophies to him.
Mhm. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
That's how this guy was acting.
Yeah.
And Detective Cordy was honest with Alicia at the time, and he's like, "Look, you're telling us about these videos, but your boyfriend keeps deleting them. We don't really have anything to go on.
Mm.
Like, I need something, we don't even have a body. We don't have evidence anybody was murdered." Whereas I would push back gently and say, Detective Cordy, you probably have a missing persons list that's like 10 pages long.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, so then he's like, I told her to stay away from him and not to do this, but she was gonna try to get him to admit this. I'm like, dude, why didn't you protect her?
Yeah. Yeah, this just seems like I don't know, it seems like there needs to be more support for all of these women.
All of these people. Yes.
Yeah.
So Brad, her brother, is the one who decides to help her. And he's like, how can we get him to admit this? So she even says, Like, I was doing wild stuff sexually to earn his
Yeah.
trust. And she was like literally and metaphorically turning herself inside out like a pretzel, probably.
Yeah, yeah.
She even went on like a desolate hike with him near Thunderbird Falls. And while there, he told her this is where he had dumped the body, but she didn't see it.
Yeah.
So she ends up bringing the police out there later and they can't find the body. So again, they have nothing. So it's
Yeah.
like they don't know what to do here. I wonder why they didn't wire her up.
Yeah, I don't know if she felt that because they're, like, intimate and stuff, if he would, like, touch her, and then that was too much of a risk.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. So fast forward a year later, Detective Cordy is walking through this police station. He's like, I know that accent. It's
Yeah.
Brian.
Mhm.
And he feels terrible because he's like, this is another woman, and who knows how many are dead because they couldn't get him the first time. Well, Alicia felt that way too, and she shouldn't have, because
Yeah.
without laying the ground, like, he never would have recognized that voice, and they would have been able to do this if Alicia had not gone to the police originally.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel, so bad that she feels bad about it because I feel like
Hmm.
she pulled way more than her weight in this story.
I agree. And the
Yeah.
fact that she wouldn't give up despite him telling her, like, this is dangerous, don't do it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
That's
Yeah.
a strong woman there.
Yeah.
So they're able to pretty much match his truck with the truck on the SD card, and they, ask Valerie to confirm this. And so on October 2nd, 2019, they find remains along the highway, and they discover that Brian's cell, because now they have a like a tap on his cell, and they're
Mhm.
immediately able to track him and to know where he is. It hit in that area about a month earlier at 1 a.m., which matches the timestamp on the SD card of with the image of Kathleen in the bed of the truck. So these are Kathleen's remains. And now they
Yeah.
can directly tie Brian to it.
Yeah.
But when they go to ping his phone a couple days later to arrest him, he's in Washington, D.C. I don't know what he's doing there. Do they ever say?
No, I don't think they do. I don't think they do, no.
So here's another thing. They arrest him and he's like, wait a minute, don't tell my wife, Stephanie. He has a whole life. He has a whole wife, a whole
Yeah.
life. Very much like
Gosh.
Long Island serial killer, Rex Humerman,
Yeah.
alleged, Rex Humerman.
There's something very pathological going on with him, and it's fascinating and terrifying.
Yeah. So we meet his wife, Stephanie. She tells us right up front that she has aphasia, which impedes her speech. She met Brian online through a computer game in 2013. I was like, what computer game? And then I'm like, was it World of Warcraft?
Oh, I don't know, but,
It
like, I know
might have been.
it could have been, yeah, but I know a couple that met around the same time playing backgammon online.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He was in South Africa and she was much older than him. And I wrote, this is a 90-day fiance situation.
It totally is, yeah.
She said everything was okay for a few years. She had a lot more money than him, and she was a lot older than him, and that's important to know because he comes over clearly running from something over there.
Yeah.
And everything is fine for the first few years, but then she says things got real bad, and she's blaming it on, and I wanted to shake her. She's
Yeah.
blaming it on, well, I got sick. I got sick, and that upset poor baby Brian, and he didn't know what to do. So maybe he was running out murdering people.
Yeah, as one does when their wife gets sick.
Wow.
Yeah.
So they interrogate him for 5 hours. They play the tape for him, and he's like, doesn't ring a bell. And then as they're interrogating, did you see how he started like more and more and more he was confessing to? Because then he's suddenly like, well,
Yeah,
maybe
oh,
that
yeah.
is my voice. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think he was trying to figure out how much do they know and how much does he have to confess to? Because he was also trying to say that he had, like, blacked out at certain times, so he was trying to say that he didn't know what had happened. I almost feel like maybe he was trying to set himself up for, like, a, insanity defense or something.
Oh, maybe.
It was such a bizarre interview, like, he was like, "Okay, I'll give you as much as you are gonna catch me for." And then for that stuff, he almost he almost enjoyed telling them the details, like, that's what it seemed like
Yeah.
from the interview.
Yeah, so he, in the meantime, confesses to another murder. And
Yeah.
this is a murder of Veronica Abuchuk, I think is how you say her name. But
Mhm.
Veronica, remember, was another one of Amber's friends from the
Yeah.
beginning of the documentary. So he tells this story about how he picked her up drunk, he brought her home, put her on his couch to sleep it off. And like, I don't know, he wanted her to take a shower because she smelled and she refused. And he takes a gun out and just shoots her in the head. Like, wow, dude.
Yeah, just insane, just completely insane. I don't even know if the shower like the whole shower thing was true, because I feel like he liked picking up these women and sleeping with them. I think he was just saying that to try to get like empathy from the police officers. Like, oh, it was like, try to get them to like relate to him somehow or something.
I agree. It was really weird. And they were like, "Okay, this is not the murder we're here to talk about, but we'll take that one and
Yeah.
charge you with that one."
Yeah.
So then he eventually takes them out by the waterfalls to show them where he dumped Veronica's body, and they realize, "Oh, this is where they found that skull in early 2019." Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Alicia is out there doing the most, trying to show you
Exactly.
things, and you find a skull out there and you don't connect these dots?
Hey, this is what I don't know. Yeah, this is what I feel like these women are none of these women are taking as seriously as they should be.
100% I agree with you. So don't forget, it was 2018 that Alicia's out by those very falls with detectives saying, "Here's where he said he dumped a body," right?
Mhm.
6 months later, not even. They find this
Yeah.
skull and they don't
Yeah.
put 2 and 2 together?
Yeah, it just feels so,
Mm.
like, I don't know, disconnected.
So they're able to do some kind of testing on the skull and identify Veronica, so it was her. Alicia's family's really pissed that the police did not take this seriously enough to solve it when she brought it to them. And were you thinking the same thing I was? Like, Alicia's not in this documentary. Where is she?
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking that too.
I
Yeah,
was
because they had her
really
brother.
Yeah, I was like, did he
Yeah.
murder her? Like that
Same
had to
thing.
be how it ended, right?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking that too. Yeah.
So Veronica, now we get into Veronica's story about why she left her community outside of Anchorage, and we find that she was a victim of clergy abuse.
Mhm.
And that drove her from her home to Anchorage, where she was unhoused and vulnerable. And that's Amber telling us.
Yeah.
So now we learn that they search Brian's house, and there's videos. They do find videos that corroborate his story about Veronica lying on his couch. They realized that it was between August 13th and August 16th. So he was dating Alicia at this time.
Yeah. It's
Wow.
he had a wife, he was in a committed relationship, they were talking about getting engaged and married, and he's doing this other stuff, like,
He's busy.
yeah, he's busy. Yeah.
Stephanie, the wife, still loves him. She says, he was mine. He was mine to love. And then she says, well, I do wish I could have done something.
Yeah, and doesn't she also say, like, it's like, "It's my dinner, even if it's a burnt dinner." She makes
Yeah.
some comment like that,
Yeah.
and I was just like,
It's my dinner. Even
I
if it's burnt, I'll eat it.
I
What?
I was just yeah, it was so odd. I was like, "Okay,
You
I
don't have to
suppose."
eat burnt food, Stephanie. I don't know what you're doing.
Yeah. You disown him, like,
Throw him out on the street.
Yeah.
So they ask Brian about Alicia, and he says, oh, that was just an affair, and we were playing around. So they arrest him, and Shabnam, he pleads not guilty. You just
Yeah.
confessed to everything,
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah. This is why I think he was maybe, like, trying to go for, like, insanity or something. Because there's no way you could say that that interview was coerced.
No,
It's like
no.
yeah, it's just so
Because
in the airport. Yeah.
at one point, the detectives get up to leave, and he's like,
Right.
"How much time do you guys have? Sit on down and let me tell you some more." So it was not coerced.
Right. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I
It's
think
so
it's
bizarre.
I think it's just like the arrogance of being a dude, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, and just like the arrogance of being able to get away with this for so long.
Mm. We meet Michael Livingston. He's an advocate for MMIP, which is missing and murdered Indigenous persons. He says there are 1,300 cases right now of MMIP, and only about
Mm.
100 are being worked on.
Wow.
Wow. He
I
says
it
one
makes
Go ahead, I'm
that
sorry.
makes I was just gonna say that makes sense with the disconnection of the skull being found and Alicia taking them there. Like,
Yeah,
it doesn't seem like there's maybe enough resources to put all those pieces together, or, there's just so many cases that things fall through the cracks.
yeah, yeah. So he says one of the biggest contributors to MMIP is racism.
Yeah.
We learn now that Alicia had actually reached out to Stephanie, Brian's wife, on Facebook Messenger, and Alicia was struggling and she felt responsible for Kathleen Joe Henry's murder since it happened after she had tried to put him away. And then we learned that Alicia ended up dying by suicide on July 4th, 2021. And she was absolutely another victim of Brian's
Yeah.
because his whole shenanigans is what led her to this. It's
Yeah,
devastating. I felt
it
so bad
is.
for that family.
I just can't imagine what like you see the detective and you see Valerie so traumatized by the one video they watched. I can't imagine how much she would have watched and what she
I
would have
know.
seen. And then all of the talking and the acting like she was, you know, excited to be with him. It just seems so traumatizing.
And her daughter is like, my heart broke for her daughter. I hope that her daughter, and I'm sure she does, feels proud of Alicia
Yeah.
that she did what she did because
Yeah.
she helped to put this guy behind bars and probably saved a lot of women's lives.
Yeah. Definitely.
So at trial, they played this is another thing, like, they keep going back and forth between okay, he's at trial now, but
Yeah.
also we're in the investigation, like, they're not making the switching back and forth clear,
Yeah.
and that was
And
confusing.
they very much did that in the first episode, so I don't know why they didn't do continue that.
I don't know. So, they're playing this video for the jury. They wouldn't show the rest of the courtroom. It was played just for the jury and the lawyers and the judge, and I wrote, "Great, more vicarious trauma for all," because these
I
people
know.
are gonna be fucking traumatized.
Yeah.
When that detective earlier spoke, he cried,
Yeah.
remembering what was on that
Yeah.
videotape. So, we learned that he had, like you said, tried to recruit another person, and this guy was like, "I don't know, I thought he was joking. I didn't know what was going on." But the police, they don't have enough to charge him, but they also think, like, maybe he was involved in dumping the body due to some context clues from their text messaging, and
Yeah.
go ahead.
Go ahead. Oh, I was gonna say, so also what was crazy about this is he saw the body and he said that he thought it was a sex doll, and he says that he thought their communications was about sex dolls, and that's what he's, telling police, that's his story. But having seen the body, he said that, "I don't know, it just I don't know that I buy it." But the problem is, the legal problem there is that there's a law in Alaska that failure to report a crime is just like a fine. I forget the amount. I think it
Yeah.
was like $250 or something like
Yes,
that.
it's not
Very
a
low number.
felony or,
Yeah.
it's
Even a
it
misdemeanor to
it's not even a
failure to report.
misdemeanor. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
violation.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
wild to me.
Like a parking ticket or something.
Yeah, like, let's
Yeah.
start there. That's something
Yeah.
that you could do that doesn't cause more man-hours, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So February 22nd, 2024, the verdict comes down. Brian Steven Smith is found guilty. So we learned that Amber is part of a community protection group that's made up of sex workers who are trying to pass laws to protect sex workers and make their world a little safer for them. And in her investigation into who this friend was, she realized there was a third victim. So Michael Livingston is working with her on this. And this is where I get confusing. I'm like, okay, is this before they find Kathleen? Is this after they find Veronica? Like, I was so confused by this point.
Yeah, and this woman's name is Amber as well, but it's a different Amber, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
So they share the images with the public, and pretty quickly, this woman is identified as Cassandra. So now we know that she was in more photographs on
Yeah.
his phone and stuff. So
Mhm.
like again, this had to come out before trial? Like I'm confused as to the timeline. So I apologize if I'm not sounding like I'm making sense, but I was confused by this.
Yeah. Did this come up during the interview? I believe they showed him pictures and he said, "Oh, I just slept with her and she was drunk but she was alive and
But he
she was
didn't
just."
name her. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, he didn't
Yeah.
name her and he just said that she was passed out and I left her there and I left,
Yeah.
which is like, "Oh, that's nice of you, but okay."
So the family is irate. Cassandra's family's
Yeah.
irate that
Yeah.
law enforcement didn't show them these photos back in 2019. So this is where we see what you just described. Footage of them in that interrogation saying to Brian Smith, "Who is this woman on your camera roll?" And he's like, I don't know. And I just wrote,
Yeah.
why did they not go further? Why
Yeah.
did they not
Yeah.
look further into this?
Yeah.
This drives me crazy. Like,
Yeah.
show her family. You know that she's missing. Go to some of these families of missing women and show them
Yeah.
these photos.
Yeah, even just into these communities, and they would probably be more than willing to do the work of passing them around and seeing if people knew them, you know?
100%. 100%. Detective Lee is like, oh, yeah, her name was mentioned, but we couldn't really identify her fully.
Yeah.
So we needed to just mark her missing until we knew for sure that she was deceased. This is bullshit. I was
Mm,
enraged over this.
yeah, same. Yeah, this is yeah.
So now we learn that we don't know if this is a rumor or what's going on here, but some of the people who are not law enforcement have said that the cops use the term NHI a lot around here. And it's a
Mhm.
term that means no humans involved. And that's how law enforcement indicates they found someone who's either an addict or an unhoused person. And I guess they just decide not to investigate because they don't have the resources to do it. Detective Lee, they ask him about this, and he's offended by this and says that doesn't happen.
Yeah, I don't buy it.
I don't buy
Yeah.
it either.
Yeah.
July 2024, Amber goes to question Brian Steven Smith and she asks him why he kills sex workers. And he's like, yeah, I do kill sex workers. And he's like, homeless people, prostitutes, they're not really noticed. This guy's chilling when she meets with
Yeah.
him in jail.
Yeah, he's so chilling. He's
He
just
has
so
no
uncaring and
remorse.
no
Yep.
remorse. Yeah,
Nope.
completely detached.
And she says to him, oh, somebody like me. And he's like, no, sex worker. She's like, I am a sex worker. That was
Yeah.
great. I loved
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, and he gets like his computer gets like frozen in his brain and he gets all confused. It's interesting.
So she shows him the picture of Cassandra and he's like, oh, that's that drunk girl. She was just rolling around. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's so crazy to me. So he is sentenced. They have a bunch of women testify in their impact statements.
Mhm.
And he is sentenced to something like 200 years. Like this guy's
Yeah.
never getting out of jail. Thank God.
Yeah. Yeah.
Michael Livingston is so moved by Cassandra's family that he helps them file a presumptive death petition, which is basically just having her declared dead, correct?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
This is granted, and I said her family is amazing. They're like putting the fucking police detectives on the stand and questioning them. It's
Yeah.
great. The jury rules the cause of Cassandra's death is homicide, not undetermined, which could have been an easy way out for them.
Right. And so
But
this is a
it's
big deal because they're
yes.
making it's the court system kind of pushing the police to
Yeah.
investigate. Yeah.
Yeah. I liked it. I liked seeing the tables flipped for
Yeah.
once.
Yeah.
So, I have a note here. I wrote, if they have ruled she is dead and the photos her family identified her on the photos from Brian's camera roll and she is declared dead, how is he not charged for her?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
They
And
claim
this is
it's
what
because there's no body, but like I've seen a million cases where they've done a no body homicide charge.
Yeah, I mean, I think, like, okay, if you're his defense lawyer, you could say that he could his story could be plausible. He had sex with her, she was very drunk, he left her there, and she wandered off somewhere, and she died without, on, "no humans involved," quote, unquote.
Mhm, mhm.
But, and since he is in jail for 200 years, maybe the state's interest isn't, there isn't as much interest on the state's part because he's already behind bars for forever. But this is really bad for the family. The family has, like, no closure and no justice, and that's what feels so horrible.
I don't know if they're gonna get it.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I just hope that somebody interviews him and he decides to talk about it or, like, say
He
where the
might.
body is.
He might.
Yeah.
So Amber and other advocates say there needs to be, and you and I talked about this, a stronger penalty for not reporting a violent crime. Right now it's $500.
Oh, 500, yeah. Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah. It's
Also,
it
go on.
it's like running a red light, it shouldn't be like that. This is so much more consequential than that,
No, so if I see you driving, like, beating somebody to death on the side of the road, and I drive by you and I don't report that and they find out I drove by, I have to pay $500. Really?
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy, right?
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, also, Alicia had told her friends and family that Brian admitted that he killed 5 women in South Africa. So that could
Mhm.
be why he was on this 90-day fiancé
Yeah.
voyage
Yeah.
to get
Yeah.
over here. Because they asked
Mhm.
Brian about this and he's like, "No, I was just trying to scare her." But, like, we can't trust anything he says.
No, no, no. I think someone else in the documentary said this, but the way that he does these and the amount of video he takes and the sort of, like, pleasure he seems to take with it, it doesn't seem like that's a first time.
No, I agree with
No.
you.
Yeah.
I think they're going to, and I know they are investigating, but I think they're gonna tie a lot more people to him.
Yeah, I think
I
so
do.
too.
So, Alicia, I have here Alicia Youngblood is a hero and Valerie is a hero because
100%.
they're
Yeah.
2 women who tried to turn this guy in.
Yeah.
I mean, you could argue without Valerie, this wouldn't have gone anywhere. Without her stealing that SD card?
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know.
Yeah, I and the like I said, like, you'd hope that these women don't have to put themselves in harm's way and all this stuff, but they did a lot that the police, arguably should have done.
Yeah, and this is what happens in communities
Yeah.
like this where law enforcement doesn't care or the resources
Yeah.
aren't there, that
Right.
we have to do it ourselves. Like, women have to
Yeah.
do it themselves.
Yeah.
So, since his arrest, now we get an end screen. Since his
Mhm.
arrest, police have found more evidence in Brian's truck. They believe he committed more crimes. So, I'm hoping maybe
Yeah.
they found something in his truck to tie him to Cassandra.
Yeah. Yeah. I would,
DNA,
like.
blood, something.
Yeah, I would hope so. And it said, like, you have here Alaska and across the US. And so I'm wondering, like, because he did go, you said, what was he doing in DC? What was he doing in all these places? Like, he could have been, like, dating people, trying to recruit people,
Yep.
killing women. He could have been doing all of that.
Yeah, this guy's terrifying.
Yeah, very.
Amber Batts is campaigning for a law to make it mandatory to report a violent crime, calling it
Mhm.
Kathleen's Law.
Yeah.
2 months after Brian's sentencing, Alaska passed Senate Bill 151, which includes a commitment to aggressively investigate native cold case homicides, sorry, and suspicious missing person cases. So now we need legislation, I guess, in the Senate to make this happen.
Yeah.
Okay. So I
Which
wanted
which
go ahead.
which just feels a little bizarre, right? Like,
Yeah,
why do you need, like, legislation to aggressively investigate just native cold cases? Like, why
I
can't you
know.
investigate native cold cases just like you would other cold cases?
Maybe the only thing I could think of is maybe they need it to go through the legislature so they can get more money, like more
Oh,
funding
maybe. Yeah,
to
that I
maybe
can
do a
see that.
task force or something.
Yeah.
So I wanted to dig a little into MMIP, which is Missing and
Mhm.
Murdered Indigenous Persons, or it's also called the Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women, Girls, and Two-Spirit Crisis.
Mhm.
So, a 2016 study by the National Institute of Justice found that more than 4 in 5, that's 4 in 5 American Indian and Alaska Native women have experienced violence in their lifetime. That is unbelievable to me. That is
Yeah.
84%.
That's so unbelievable. It's so sad.
Including 56% who've experienced sexual violence. That is way disproportionate
Yeah.
to other numbers.
Yeah.
Okay, so additionally, as of June 2023, 3.5% of the missing persons included in the National Missing and Unidentified Persons System were identified as AI, which is American Indian, or AN, which is Alaska Native,
Yeah.
which was
Mhm.
more than 3 times their percentage in the US population. So
Wow.
there's only 1.1% of AI, AN persons in the United
Yeah.
States, their population, but they account for 3.5% of the missing
Yeah.
persons cases. That is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Overall, more than 1.5 million women in these populations have experienced violence. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I went down a little rabbit hole. I'm going to just touch
Mhm.
on these lightly. I'm not going to read all of this, but
Mhm.
basically, what you need to know is, and this came from, hold on, what was my source on this? The Bureau of Indian Affairs, and I have a little side note that I'm shocked that still exists.
Mhm.
And the Brooklyn Public Library has a big repository
Oh.
of information on this. So, some factors that are at play is the jurisdiction and dependent sovereignty
Mhm.
stuff. So tribal governments are domestic dependent sovereigns to the United States. This means tribal governments are their own self-determined governments, but their power and even their existence is controlled by Congress. So this
Mhm.
means Congress can decide what jurisdiction tribal courts and tribal law enforcement have over certain cases. Wow.
Yeah.
So
But
basically, go ahead.
but also that didn't necessarily play a part in the Alaska cases, right? 'Cause they were Anchorage, right?
Correct,
But
correct.
generally in other
Generally,
state,
mhm.
yeah, got it. Okay.
So one of the more so how this shows up and it's a
Mhm.
problem is that tribal courts and law enforcement don't have the jurisdiction to prosecute non-tribal, non-Indian persons except under very limited circumstances. So basically they talk about the oil and mineral mining and drilling
Mhm. Mhm.
industries. These industries are often set up in or near Indian country and bring thousands of transient workers to carry out the
Mhm.
work.
Mhm.
These mostly male workers are set up in what they call man camps, which rapidly increase the non Indian population of an area. And it is no coincidence then that the presence of man camps increases violent victimization by as much as 70%, leaving tribal governments without the means to prosecute them. So these people can basically, the way that they sum it up here is because of this system, non Indian persons are free to come onto the reservation, commit
Yeah.
serious crimes, and
Yeah.
leave with impunity, knowing they will never be charged.
That's terrifying and horrific.
hmm Of course, there's a lack of data. That's another problem. Me,
This just is like it's like the what you just described, it's literally like we're continuing like victimize native populations,
yeah,
it's really
100%,
horrible. Yeah.
100%. Media coverage is a problem. National news sources rarely cover these missing cases, and when they do, it's often riddled with racially coded language. So
Mhm.
there's a Urban Indian Health Institute (UIHI) 2018 report, and they find that the majority of coverage on especially local news
Mhm.
focused on reservation-based violence and neglected the urban victims of the crime. So only 129 of the 506 cases were covered in the media, and almost none of them were not covered more than once. Or almost
Wow.
none of them were covered more than once. Sorry, can't we talk?
Right.
So the report also found that when MMIP cases were reported, violent or coded language was used. For example,
Yeah.
1/3 of the reports included references to drugs and alcohol, references to the victim's criminal history, or misgendered trans victims. They
Mhm.
also referenced sex work, did not name the victim, used victim blaming language. So all that's a problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then finally, social constructs is a
Mhm.
big issue. There are a
Yeah.
lot of societal facts for these women that puts them at increased risk of intimate partner violence, human trafficking, reduced wages, housing instability. Like it's a perfect storm
Right.
of neglect, racism, it's vulnerability. Like it's wild to me that we don't have 85 documentaries about this, but we
Yeah,
don't.
and just, the whole, man camp situation, right? Like, that's probably increasing violence towards women, but also men, and you see in the case of Cassandra, she seemed to have, like, a good thing going with her boyfriend and her kids and like,
Mhm.
a good
Mhm.
life, and then he gets killed, murdered, and that appends everything for her,
Yeah.
and that can be hugely impactful for women too, even if it's slightly indirect violence.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's we cover a lot of true crime. I
Mhm.
know of this crisis. I know it's a
Mhm.
problem, but like
Yeah.
I don't know if I knew those numbers and those
Yeah.
statistics.
Same. Yeah,
And it was
same.
alarming, and I really hope this serves as a teaching moment. It did for me,
Mhm.
for other people too, that wow, this is an urgent there's urgency here is what I
Yeah,
wanna say.
and
Sorry,
it's a
can't talk.
big crisis. Yeah.
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah.
Alright, so that's it. We covered it all.
Yeah.
Wow, I went through that pretty quick.
Yeah, you did a good job. I thought it would definitely go over an hour,
Thanks.
but yeah,
Yeah,
good job.
no, it was a good documentary. I highly recommend everybody watch it, if for nothing else, but to just educate yourself more on these
Mhm.
matters and share the resources at the end and stuff like that. The more eyes on this, the better, I think.
Yeah, and just to reiterate what I said at the beginning, having gone through everything you just said, I really, really appreciate how the producer took the time to tell these stories from the perspective of Valerie, Alicia, and both the Ambers. You
Yeah.
know,
And I
so
gave you guys like a quick rundown.
mhm,
It's much fuller and richer. Like I
mhm.
do recommend watching all 3 episodes. And Octavia Spencer, man, she just has such a beautiful voice. Like I can listen to
Yeah,
her talk about anything.
yeah, totally.
And I highly recommend The Lost Women of Highway 20 too. I thought that was
Yeah,
really 20 also, not 22. Um, I thought that was really well done as well. So
I'll have to watch that.
she's doing some good stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I like this.
Mhm.
All right, Shubnam, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you, thank you.
And if you guys want to hear us talk about more murdered and missing persons, we're doing Kyla and I are doing Maura Murray, the disappearance of Maura Murray on
Mhm.
Murder Club, which is our $8 Patreon level. And Becca and I are doing some missing person stuff, but then we're going to dive into The Truth About Pam, the scripted series about Pam Hupp, which is
Oh, nice. Yeah,
wild, wild,
yeah.
wild.
That sounds fun.
Yeah. So, I really appreciate all of you guys. I appreciate your support. I don't know if you saw, but Murder Club hit 1,000 members.
I did,
I was
congratulations.
so excited. Like, that's a
Yeah,
pretty big murder club. We are
it
solving
is.
things.
Yes, we are.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. If you can leave us a 5-star review and share the show with a friend, we really appreciate it. Thank you, Shubnam, again.
Thank you.
And we'll see you next time. Bye.